Welcome back, friends, to Max Q Barbecue. My name is Craig, and this is Season 3, Episode 11. What do we do with the cutoffs and trimmings that are in the freezer? In today's video, we're going to pull out some leftover frozen meat that I had in the freezer, and we're going to convert it into good edible sausage that I can use for cooking jambalaya or other dishes like gumbo. So I have here a 2.5-pound pack of rib skirt. These are the skirts off of the ribs from BBQ Camp a few weeks ago. And we didn't have time to cook them, so this is great dark pork meat. And then I have some leftover pork belly. This is from some bacon that I was making where I was just trimming up the pork belly, so it's predominantly pork fat. So with these two sets of ingredients, we're gonna make some awesome sausage. So stick around. Our first step in our process is to get our ingredients cubed up so that we can send it through the grinder. Now you'll notice on the pork belly, I've already cubed it up, but on our rib skirts, I have not. So we're gonna go ahead and you can see this is nice lean pork. We're gonna go ahead and cube this up, put it in our pan, and then we're gonna mix it together with our pork belly, and then we'll be adding our ingredients. So let's get this cubed up. All right, friends, we've got our pork all cubed up. We're gonna stick this back in the freezer so it stays nice and firm. Won't really freeze it hard, but we'll keep it close to freezing so that when we push it through the grinder, it'll actually grind much better. So back to the freezer. We're starting our mixture today with our spreadsheet recipe where we use the weight of the proteins and meats to calculate the amounts of ingredients that we're gonna use for spices. First thing on our list is 43 grams of kosher salt. So we're going to, we've got our scale here. It's all tarred out to allow for the weight of the serving cup here. We're at 33, 35, 41. I'll take a spoon, just use a little bit here just to get us up to our 43. And there we go, we got 43. Next ingredient is going to be our Instacure number 1. Remember, this is our sodium nitrite salt and salt combination. I'm going to retar. We're going to need about 5.5 grams here. There we go. That should be around 5.5 grams of Instacure number 1, prog powder number 1. Next on our list is coarse ground pepper. There we go, our coarse ground pepper. We're going to retar, and we're going to need about 24 grams of coarse ground pepper. $16, $18, $19, $21, $22, $23, $24. And it's 24.9, so we're gonna round it up to 25. There we go, right on the dot. Okay, now we're gonna need some marjoram. Now this is a brand new container, so I'm gonna have to probably peel this tab off. Well, not probably, I'm gonna have to peel the tab off. Now I'll make it easy on myself. And we only need about 7.5 grams of marjoram. So we're retarring our ingredients here. And marjoram is very light. It's leafy. It's only 2 grams. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, must be about a half. There we go, 7.5. All right, we need some time. We're gonna need about the same amount of time. May not have enough. I'm gonna retar. It's back to 0. Remember, this is also a very leafy herb. It's gonna be very lightweight. And we're gonna be close. There's 5, 6, 7. Okay. Let me go ahead and got a little bit, put it all in there. No use in saving half a gram of thyme there. All right, we're going to add some sage. We need also about 7.5 grams of sage. Tap on this jar a little bit. A lot of these fine ground spices, when they get a little damp or a little humid, they stick. Here's 7 grams of sage and paprika. Here's our paprika. We're gonna need 8 grams of paprika. And we could use some cayenne pepper, which I haven't pulled out. And I'm gonna do a little splash of some turmeric here. And we're gonna put a little bit of garlic powder, and we're also gonna use fresh garlic. So I am going to put about maybe 10 grams of garlic powder, and then I'm gonna put a lot more of the fresh garlic in here, because I'm gonna like that fresh. But before we go any further, we're gonna grab us some cayenne pepper. I'm gonna cut back a little bit on that because I want to use some Tony Chachere's, which has some cayenne in it. And so rather than making it all straight up cayenne, I'm gonna fill out my 7 grams with my Tony's, which brings a few more seasonings in, and maybe a little bit of salt as well. All right, so that's pretty much all of our dry ingredients. I've got a lid here. Put a lid on here so I can mix these up really well. Our final dry ingredient is 35 grams of brown sugar, and that's a little bit lumpy, so we're going to take a spoon and see if we can break this down a little bit so we'll mix in with our meat and sausage better. Of course, once it gets a little bit of moisture in there, the sugar will dissolve and flow around, but we just need to break it up here a little bit so that it will absorb in there. And then we're also going to measure out about 250 grams of ice water, because we need that water to mix in with our proteins to help it emulsify. So I'm going to grab some cold water out of the refrigerator, and we'll have our water ready as well. So once we get our meat ground, we can mix our ingredients and start mixing this all up and getting our sausage ready to stuff. Simple, easy peasy. Just make some sausage, use up those ingredients, get them out of the freezer, and get them into something delicious. Okay, we just took our cubed pork out of the freezer. It's kind of nice and firm texture to it. So we're gonna start adding our dry ingredients to it and mixing it up, and then we're gonna grind it after we enter the dried ingredients. So we're just gonna pour those over it. Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and grind this up, and then we'll come back and start stuffing it. Alrighty friends, we got our pork ground up and now mixed up with our spices and with our pork belly, which was our adding some fat. We wanted to get to about a 30% fat ratio. We've got all of our dry ingredients ground in there. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this back in the freezer to keep it nice and cold while we get the stuffer set up. So when you come back, we'll have the sausage stuffer set up and we'll be ready to start stuffing some links. See you back in a few. Okay, we have our sausage stuffer ready to go, but before we stuff our sausage, we gotta add our water and mix up our water and knead our ground pork to get it to stick together. And we also are going to make up a little patty so we can fry it up and test it to make sure it tastes good. So we got the mixer still out, we got the mixing bowl, we've removed the meat grinder attachment for the KitchenAid here. And so now we're just going to use our mixer paddle right here. And we're going to mix up our pork with our water, make sure it's good and emulsified, and then we'll be able to stuff it. Alrighty, so we're going to transfer our ground pork and seasoned ground pork back over to our mixing bowl. Remember, we had this in the freezer just to keep it cold in between steps there. And it's still nice and cold. And we're going to clean this bowl up, drop it in here. And go ahead and stick our paddle on here, and you'll see why in just a second, because I need to make sure that paddle is on there. And I'm going to work this paddle up and through the mixture and connect it to our mixer. And I'm going to turn this on low. And then we're going to take our water that we have here, our cold water. This has been in the refrigerator as well. Remember, everything we're doing, we're trying to keep our ingredients cold because we don't want to let any bacteria start growing, regardless of which kind, but we want to keep it cold so that keeps the bacteria growth slowed down. And now we're just going to let the mixer do its work of kneading this together. And this, trust me, is a lot easier than me doing it by hand, because remember how cold this meat is. When you do it by hand, my fingers are always freezing. So just kind of ease it up and down until I get all the water in there. So all the water's in there. And now I can start moving it up. Gotta be a little careful because it does tend to ball up sometimes. Didn't quite attach down very much, but now we'll just let that mix for a while and it'll emulsify those proteins. They'll break down. That salt and that water will help to extract those proteins from the meat, and that will mix in as sort of like a gelatin, and then it'll help hold that together and bind everything. You'll see when we come back, we'll do a patty test. It should stick to your hand, and it does. So, patty test is good, so we're gonna fry this up, taste it, see how it tastes. Okay friends, we have our sausage sample here. We're gonna go ahead and taste our bite of our patty and see how our sausage is going to taste. That's gonna be good. We're gonna make some good sausage. All righty, got the meat and the stuffer. Let's get the casings going. And then we finish swallowing. C'est bon. All right, friends. All of our sausage is stuffed and tied. It's on our tray with a drying rack in there. And we're gonna go place this into the refrigerator outside and let this stuff bloom overnight. See our drying tray there? All righty, doesn't that look beautiful? All righty, we'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome back, friends. We have our busy cook day today. We're going to start off by cooking our pork. Short ribs are actually rib tips that we collected from BBQ Camp that didn't get cooked. Our fire today is going to be the Fat Daddy fire basket with a bed of pecan splits and some lump charcoal worked in. So there's the construction of our fire. And there's what it looks like from the top. So we're gonna get the propane tank started and start heating her up. Turn this on, pressurize the tube. If you turn it on too quick, it'll actually shut down and the safety valve will kick on and you won't get full flow. So I want to pressurize it slowly. Once you get pressurized, turn on. night. Here we go.
Welcome back, friends. Well, our sausage has been on the pit for a couple hours, 2.5 hours, but more importantly, it has reached an internal temperature of 150 degrees. So we wanted to stop the cooking process at 150 degrees. That's hot enough to kill off any pathologic bacteria, but we didn't want to go any longer or any hotter because it'll start to render the fat out of the sausage. So we took the sausage off of the pit and dropped it immediately in this bath of ice water to cool it off. So now that it's been in the ice bath for about 5 minutes and cooled off, and that way the fat will stop rendering and the meat will stop cooking, we're going to start bagging it up because, as you know, I do a lot of Cajun cooking as well. And sausage is a very important ingredient to a lot of the Cajun dishes. In fact, we use the sausage to spice up and season our dishes. So I'm going to start bagging this up in vacuum bags so that I can freeze it and then pull it out when we're ready to make some jambalaya or make some gumbo or anything that we need that we want to make, that we want to throw some sausage in there. Even sometimes we even eat it as appetizers. So I hope you enjoyed our video today, and I hope you had some good ideas about how you can use up some of that extra meat in your freezer. I've still got a bunch of beef and a bunch of pork in the freezer. I really need to get that all cooked up, and the best way to use that, those trimmings and that part of the meat is by making sausage. And sausage is such a big part of our meals. I love making sausage. So be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.